Karen Bouchard, and today I'm talking with Joseph M. Lenard, author of Terror Strikes. It's a gripping novel, the topic of which has never been more relevant. Well, Joseph, tell me a little about your book.
Terror Strikes is not just a book, but a book within a book, as my lead, Marten, who is a Detroit newspaperman, is writing a book about terrorism himself. So my book is kind of following him preparing to write his book. It is also, though, a blog within a book. Terror Strikes then also shows some of his blog as part of his source material. And Terror Strikes not only acts as a history lesson and warning, but concepts of not just those lost, but survivors, survivor's guilt, and other related issues surrounding violent acts affecting everyday life, even outside of terrorism. I also like to add Terror Strikes. Well, that's a pretty shocking title, and it implies death and destruction. Well, yeah, that's what terrorism wreaks, but this is not ultimately a book about death, but of life and living, and about those foreign and domestic who would want to deprive people of their life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness.
Who did you write the book for? Tell me about that person.
Yeah, this is a book for both young and old, and I'm hoping folks, older folks will read the book and then perhaps gift a copy to a niece or a nephew or a grandchild, somebody in not grade school, but junior high or high school, because there's a lot of history in here they're just not going to get in their classrooms. So therefore, that's where I go back to my saying, not only acts as a history lesson, but a warning. So it's for both young and old. Also for the religious and the non-religious, political and non-political. And it's important to say that because I didn't sit down to write a book that is anything but honest. And you cannot have an honest book about terrorism without delving into both religion and politics to some degree, because it's the stated reasons why they want to kill us. So it has to cover those subjects, and the Torah, the New Testament, and the Quran all are addressed to some degree therein.
And for the person reading the book, whatever their religion or whatever their politics, because terror and terrorist acts, they hit us all, right?
Yeah,
it's like it impacts all of us, regardless of what our politics are or what our particular faith is. And so I hear what you're saying about.
Yeah, I have on my book website, no one of any faith is safe. And this is also not a book just for the United States. This is for Europe, Asia, everybody. There is chapters on Toronto, Ontario, Canada in the book. There's a chapter on London, England in the book. There's a chapter on Madrid, Spain in the book. Tokyo, Japan. And then there's also some mentions of France, though France doesn't have a dedicated chapter. So this is not just for a domestic audience in the United States. This is a book for everybody.
Joseph, what genre does this book fall into?
And I like to say, since I'm from Detroit, Robert Ritchie, who everybody knows as Kid Rock, also from the Detroit area, people think of him as either a rapper or a rock star, but he's more than one thing. And I specifically point to the tune Picture that he did with Sheryl Crow. That song charted on the pop charts, the rock charts, the easy listening charts, and the country charts all at the same time. Right. Because it was something for everyone. It was more than one thing at the same time.
So I like that you brought up movies and music. And so if you could compare this book to a book or movie that we might be familiar with, or several of them, what would that look like?
if anyone's seen the movie Sum of All Fears, which is based on a Clancy novel, it's kind of like Clancy without the Jack Ryan.
Okay.
It's also though like Deep Impact. If anybody's seen that Morgan Freeman movie, and Ellie. What is Ellie? Who is Ellie? What does the government know that they're not telling us? So it's kind of a blend of those things. It's part drama, it's part romance, Marten and his wife, it's part thriller, it's part a little bit of action, it's a little bit of everything.
Okay, wonderful. And then you introduce a term in the book that I think is fascinating. So I want you to tell us a little bit about what is a Gija.
Yeah, Gija, Gijia, and then there's also a companion term, Eijas, Gijas. The reason I introduced that term is saying Islamic fundamental radicals is too long, or whatever other terminology we've been using. And I liken it back to the National Socialist Deutschland Arbeiter Party, the Nazis,
Oh, okay.
right? So we have Gija or Gijas in this nomenclature. It makes it easier. It flows off the tongue a lot easier. People can better understand what you're talking about.
So the letters in Gija, what do they
Yeah,
stand for then? And then Gijas. So tell me
yeah.
about that. What do they
Well,
stand
let
for?
me do the singular first, which has the S. Gijis. Global Islamic Jihadist Interim Army Soldier. Gijaz, but that's actually an individual. Gija, therefore, is a global Islamic Jihadist Interim Army, them collectively. Gija and Gijas are ripe for this day and age, just like we called the National Socialist Nazis. And it relates because they're fascistic also. They hate us. They want to create a fascistic Islamic caliphate where there is no freedom, only dictates. You must dress the way they insist you dress. You must act the way they insist. No freedoms. So there is that direct correlation also, which makes the term proper, in my opinion.
Right. So Joseph, why this book and why now?
People watching the news should know, obviously, but let me spell it out. I actually started writing this book in 2006. Let me go back to that. So this is a fulfillment of a dream, both figuratively and literally. In 2006, this book came to me as a dream in my sleep, literally. So now figuratively, this is a fulfillment of a dream to bring it to an international audience. So people only need to check the news that it's starting to creep back in on their channels. Or if you like, if you're still not convinced that this book is relevant to you and important to you here and now, go to google.com/alerts. Set up a daily digest alert for terror strikes. Now, that's not a ploy to get an advertisement for my book in your inbox every day. What it's about is you will see laid out every day terrorism happening all around the world, still going on, that you just don't know about because you're not hearing it on the national news.
Now, to get the book is available in numerous places. People can go online. They can visit retailers like Amazon or Barnes and Noble. They can go to your website.
Yep. And Books of Millions, another one, of course. Amazon.uk. Amazon has got dots for everywhere over in Europe too, because again, this is an international flavor book, not just a U.S. book. And it's exclusive, though, ebook wise. If you're into ebooks, it's exclusive through Amazon Kindle. And if you're a Kindle Unlimited subscriber, you can read Terror Strikes, download at no additional cost or fee to you. as a Kindle Unlimited user.
Well, Joseph, thank you so much for visiting with me today about your book. And it's such a relevant and important topic. And I'm so glad that you've written this book. And I just wish you all sorts of luck with it, and that people will be reading it and thinking deeply and taking the topic seriously.
Thank you for having me. I greatly appreciate it. Take care.